What's up, guys? We are back. This is Cody with F is for Fanatic. Today we are talking a little bit of everything. It was announced on Twitter that defensive end Powell Rylan will be entering the transfer portal. Not really what you want to hear, especially a position that we have seemed to struggle with in the last couple years with depth. And, truthfully, we need all the depth we can get on that defense that was ranked so bad last year. The defense was just absolutely just not great. So he enters the transfer portal, and I kind of wanted to get a little bit into that. Truthfully, it's one of those things where everybody gets on Twitter and says that, he needs to compete and, stay. But sometimes sometimes dudes are just better, and he could probably go start somewhere else at a different conference or different school that maybe needs some help right away. And truthfully, I think that, it's probably good. Everybody wants to say, just stay and compete, don't transfer, but sometimes guys are just bigger, faster, stronger, and it doesn't matter the amount of work that you do. That they're just freaks of nature, and you're never going to start above them. It just is what it is. And guys, this isn't high school. These guys are elite athletes. So it's hard. It's hard to just outwork guys that are working just as hard as you. And if they're longer, if they're stronger, if they're faster than you, you're just gonna be number 2 on that team. It just is what it is. Especially at a position at the defensive line where strength and speed, we're not talking like a wide receiver here. Strength and speed is a majority of their job. So if a guy is faster and stronger than him, then he's just gonna get the reps. Now, do I think he was gonna be a good rotational piece? Absolutely. But it's one of those things where you wish you could have him, but obviously it's not going to happen with him entering the transfer portal. Now, we have seen before. Gotcha, Hall of Fame. Oh, their spring game? Is that what's on right now? Is the spring game? So, sometimes guys are just better. And if he has an opportunity to go to a different school and start right away, you take that opportunity. These guys have a shelf life. They only have so many years to play in eligibility. So why would you sit if no matter how hard I work, this guy is just better than me? He's longer than me. He's taller than me. He's faster than me. Why stay? And people get mad, and there's no reason to get mad about it. There's nothing to get mad about. He wants to start, and obviously there's somebody that might be a tick better than him and that is getting most of the starting reps, and that's fine. If you're right on the cusp of starting and you are, what are you going to do? Wait till the other guy gets injured? You can't do that. His time is ticking. He only has a couple years left of eligibility. You transfer. That's what kind of the transfer portal was made for. And so I'm not too mad about it. you know, it sucks. We need all the help we can get, but sometimes it's just it's a business decision for him. He's probably trying to get to the NFL, and if he can get, there's no better. We talked about last week. There's no better training in the world than on the job training when you're actually in the field, you know, getting it. And maybe he just needs reps. Maybe he just needs to play more games. And if he transfers, he probably will go to a school that he'll be the guy, and he gets all the reps, and that might unlock his next level of success. So you can't be mad about it. I get people that get frustrated with guys that transfer 2-3 times. There's another guy that he transferred. He's a cornerback. I saw he just transferred from Penn State to North Carolina in January, and then now he's back in the transfer portal. Like, that's the stuff that people get irritated about. With the transfer portal. Number 2, we're gonna dive into the Miami situation, and caught some flack on the video about, from Miami fans. Not that I care. Whatever. You still viewed it. So one of the fans made a comment. A lot of them were just BS, but one of the fans made a comment about essentially that they'll be fine in NIL, and Mario is one of the best recruiters in the nation. Whatever. That's cool. But, and that they have guys that it essentially all their guys are committing like last year late. So whatever. My thing is Miami is built on money. That's why kids go there. Now, I'm not saying all kids go there. There's some legacy kids. I'm trying to think of one. Blades. Like, all the Blades kids' family goes to Miami. And so it's one of those things. You're going to get some guys like that for sure, but you can't build a whole class on legacy kids. And then other guys, they're the high end guys. They're paying to go there. And when you lose your main booster, which they essentially have, because they had to start a collective, which he was against, which he was publicly against. So you lose your main booster, so what now? And I get they have other boosters, but this guy was supposed to build you a stadium. This guy was supposed to give you top 5 classes every year. This guy was selling you guys a pipe dream, man. And I don't understand, like, as a fan base, if that was Oklahoma or Florida, we'd be probably a little more realistic about it. We'd be like, well, that's business, and we just lost our biggest booster, so our recruiting class is probably going to go into the tank. But Florida and OU, and I would venture to say teams like Ohio State, Nebraska, South Carolina, they don't have. They're not selling all money. Tennessee, well, they had that one quarterback, but I digress. They're not selling their kids on money, and when you sell the kids on money, that's fine. say, hey, this is a business. It's like the pros here. We're going to give you this money and you need to produce. That's fine if that's what you're about. But the problem is when you sell them that dream on the money and the money runs out because of bad financial decisions or what have you, then you don't have anything left. You don't have a game day culture there. Nobody shows up. That's the empty I think my high school probably gets more people to show up than you guys do. And Miami fans know it. You guys know it. And it's not 100% Miami's fault. Campus-wise, they just don't have a stadium on campus. So when you don't have a stadium on campus, it's hard to get the student body to go. I don't know how far the stadium is from the campus, but I mean, if it ain't walking distance, them college kids ain't going. And there's other things to do. Why would they go to a game? Why would they travel for a game when, there's other things to do? It's kind of the USC effect. It's the same thing. USC struggles to pack that stadium. They only pack it when they're good. I don't know if Miami was really good if it would even get packed out. I'm not sure. I think they only sold that stadium out for the Florida State Miami game, and I think it was mostly Florida State guys or Florida State fans that went to that. So you got a bad predicament when you don't have a stadium on campus, and you guys. The University of Miami is a private school. They don't get there's not a lot of kids attending. So drop a comment in the comments, and I'll drop the link to get you guys on if you wanna call in and talk. Right now we have discussed the transfer portal of Powell Rylan. We can talk about that a little bit more. We are on the Miami NIL situation, and then we're going to talk a little recruiting. And so it's a tough dynamic when you're bad and there's no game day atmosphere. You guys play on like Thursdays, like JV. Like I don't know why kids would want to go there other than the money. And I get not all the kids are getting paid. Like obviously the no stars that you guys have signed lately aren't getting paid. The non-nationally ranked. I hope you guys aren't paying that guy. Those guys are lucky to even have a roster spot. They'd be walk-ons anywhere else. I think Florida had a couple walk-ons that were higher than the quarterback you guys picked up. So it's wild to me that Miami fans are kind of so delusional that they think everything is fine when you lost your main booster. And I'm not, like I said in the previous video, I'm not saying Ruiz doesn't have any money. I'm not saying he doesn't, I'm not saying when he swipes his card it gets declined. I'm saying that he doesn't have the money that to pay recruiting classes. He might be able to swindle out this past recruiting class that he paid that he signed. And the crazy thing to me is the Miami fans that say, well, Life Wallet signed them to an NIL deal. Well, yeah. or other people will pick up their NIL contract. Not if it's bad. Not if it's a bad contract. So apparently LifeWall owes like $884 million to people. So I don't know. It's the wildest thing ever. I kind of wanted to talk a little recruiting. It's been quiet on the Florida landscape. It's one of those things where I think Billy Napier likes to spread them out. Arkansas got 3 players to commit all in one day, which is kind of cool, I guess. But I think Billy Napier is a little more strategic than Arkansas, than letting 3 players pop at the same time. I'm not saying that. I think definitely he has some commits that are waiting for the right time. Friday Night Lights, the big recruiting weekend, is coming. I think it's next month. I'm sure that there will be a recruit or 2 pop during the actual Friday Night Lights. That's pretty typical. For Memorial Day weekend is usually a pretty good recruiting weekend for a lot of schools. They get some kids to pop on Memorial Day weekend, it seems. So it's still early. And for everybody, it's still early. I know a lot of teams are chomping at the bit. But, you know, there's plenty of time left to get guys. So there's still plenty of elite talent out there. A lot of the elite guys haven't really committed yet. So, and I know this from all teams, from what I hear from Oklahoma, what I hear from the Florida camp, what I hear from, all the teams, that there's a lot of players out there still. That's still it's still very, very early. So I think Florida will probably end up in the top 5, top 10 class this year. Just with the amount of firepower that they have gotten already, with top 100 guys. It's one of those things where, this is kind of a make or break year for Billy Napier recruiting wise. Everybody has looked forward to this 2024 class. Obviously, DJ Lagway is recruiting his butt off for Florida. So, and it seems that Billy Napier gets his guys to commit positionally. So like, you'll have a run on linebackers, and then you'll have a run on wide receivers, and then you'll have a run on DBs. It seems like that's kind of his get the quarterback early. That's obviously something that that has been kind of his blueprint, is to get their quarterback early. Austin Simmons committed really early, and supposedly he is reclassifying. I've heard that from several people. I've talked to one person that is very in tune with that, and he essentially said to me that he would not be surprised if that happened. So I think that that's kind of in the air still. The McCall thing, I don't know about the McCall thing. Gator Dave from Gator's Breakdown, we had him on 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. He was on a different show, and I guess somebody very close to the Coastal Carolina program said Florida was the suitor and that essentially now that he's a graduate, that that the transcript doesn't matter. His poor grades doesn't matter. So if that's true, if he is a graduate and he's going to use a grad transfer, I think that's how that works. But I've heard from one guy that that's not happening. That is pretty close to the program. And then I've heard, obviously, Gator Dave heard from the Coastal Carolina, somebody tight with Coastal Carolina that's pretty well in with that program, told Dave on this show that it is Florida. So Dave put it out there, and he has said multiple times that essentially, this is coming from Coastal Carolina. This is not coming from Florida. Billy Napier keeps everything super tight to the chest, so it doesn't surprise me that we don't hear a peep about it, because that's not Billy Napier's style. Obviously, with Mertz there, it's one of those things. And Miller, you have to walk a fine line, because if you bring another guy in, you could potentially lose Mertz and Miller. So it's one of those things where it's like, do you even do it, or do you roll with Mertz? Obviously, Mertz is ahead of Miller. And then they have Max Brown, which what I saw Max Brown on the spring game, he's definitely not ready. So that just goes to show you, Hall of Fame, that you're about to watch the Sooners spring game. Don't get too wrapped up in it, because all spring long we heard about how great Max Brown is, and that he was head and shoulders above everybody. And then look, he didn't look great during the spring game, during the scrimmage. So be easy on watching those scrimmages and thinking you're getting a whole bunch of stuff to take out of it. I'll probably peek at the score of the Oklahoma spring game. I'm just kind of interested to see. I might watch a little bit of it. I'm kind of interested to see what their defense looks like. That's a big question mark. That, and Hall of Fame did bang on Florida a little bit about how bad the offense looked last year, or not last year, last spring game. This past spring game. So if we see a 7-10, just know that that you got some heat coming for you. But I don't know. The thing about the spring games too is not everybody not everybody sorry. Not everybody runs their spring game the same. Some people do a format of like a game, like Florida did. Florida State did a couple of end zone drives. They started from like the 30, like red zone drives, which was interesting. So there's that way, and then there's the Miami where you just make up your own rules and give points for bullshit to make yourself feel better. So pretty embarrassing. They weren't playing football. They were playing Mario Ball. And that's essentially you get points for all kinds of stuff. You get points for just nonsense. Handing out points for left and right. Best dressed was a point, I believe. Cleanest uniform was a point, I believe. What else? Oh, best chain was a point. Best dance moves was a point. I mean, I don't know what they were doing over there. and it didn't look great. So we are going to wrap it up. If nobody wants to call in, we'll run this about 4 more minutes, and then I might watch the OU spring game. So let's see. Yeah, so we're going to run this. We'll run this for about... Sorry, guys. Sorry. Yeah, we'll run this another minute or two, and then we'll skedaddle off here if nobody wants to call in and chit chat. But I would assume that that a lot of Oklahoma fans are going to be really keened in on the defense and see what they look like. Like me and Hall of Fame discussed, if it's 56-56 like Ole Miss, I think they're in some trouble. That's another thing. Old Lane Kiffin, that he want to make a mockery of Florida's spring game, and then his defense gives up 100 points. It was 52-56 or something for their spring game. Yeah, that's why you don't win no games over there at Ole Miss, because you have no defense. It's pretty embarrassing if the guys that you're lining up against every single day can't stop you. You know the plays, you know the routes. The offense is going to be vanilla, and you allow 100+ points. That's pretty embarrassing. So, but that does not surprise me out of Lane Kiffin. Get your popcorn ready. At all. That's typical Lane. He's pretty lame. So, all right, guys, we are going to wrap it up. No call-ins today, but we will try again next weekend, 3:30 Saturday, live call-in as always. So we will talk at you later, and I'm going to go watch some of this OU spring game, I guess, since it's the only football on, and we'll talk at you later.